Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. It's been a minute. My name's Joe Kuzma. This is my good friend and colleague, Mr. Brian E. Roach. Mr. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm just dandy. I'm probably not as dandy as you. You've been doing all kinds of world traveling and, honeymooning and all kinds of stuff, having loads of fun. I just get to sit here in New Jersey in the stupid heat and humidity and sweat. It's very annoying.
Well, I had some... heat and humidity when I'm in the Caribbean, of course. So if most of you didn't realize, last week we did a show. We did part 2. It was pre-recorded because I was on a 7-day cruise and we stopped in Puerto Rico and the Bahamas and St. Martin and everything. And it was hot and it was humid there. It was better than coming back to my home, where then I came back on a Monday night later. There were storms and everything, so the flight was delayed. Your normal pain in the ass stuff with travel. You finally get in through the door, you wake up in the morning, and then you got to go back into your normal daily grind, and it's mid-60s, storming, pouring down rain. It was just lovely, let me tell you. And that's been wrecking havoc on training camp and stuff too. They got to keep moving indoors, half outdoors. So
I've about had it with this thunderstorm nonsense.
Yeah, we could. And Tina Rivers, our managing editor here, she's always talking about, since she's in Iowa, she always sends everything our way. And I guess I'm in Ohio, and then I pass it along. I get it, and then I give it another little shove over to New Jersey. And needless to say, that's all we need to say about the weather. The weather is unpredictable. I don't trust anybody that tries to predict it. So very much so, it's a good segue for preseason football, because it could be very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. I'm going to preface this program here, since we're back on the horn. There was no reason to do a pregame. I mean, we know who we kind of wanted to see, and since we did our roster things, our projections, those are getting shot out of the saddle now that we've got some training camp stuff to digest, and now we have a preseason game to digest, and there were some good performances. So I don't want to take away from anyone that played well, but also, some people get really hype on this stuff, and we've been fooled. Fool me once. I happen to remember a game that was in Pittsburgh against the Buffalo Bills 2-3 years ago, and there was a quarterback that we were really you weren't hyped on him, but he was a first-round pick. And so he had some pedigree. He was supposed to be, he's supposed to be at least a starting quarterback, if not maybe a future franchise quarterback. And I went in peaks and valleys with Kenny Pickett as well, but our eyes were fooled on the Matt Canada offense and so forth and such. I will say this much for yesterday's game. First of all, it was very boring for the first half for the most part.
Oh my God.
It was very boring. It picked up second half because we got to see a little bit of fireworks, sustained drives. Very boring if you're a Packers fan, not as boring if you're a Steelers fan, but man, some really long sustained drives. All 3 quarterbacks had nice games. Everybody's going to talk about the younger guys and just kind of disregard Mason Rudolph, but we'll get back to him too. But I always want to say, I'm not trying to say, hey, this is Drew Allar or Will Howard or even Mason beating up on backups and guys that aren't going to be on an NFL team in a month. Part of that is true, but it's also it's good to see that they played good. It's great to see that they played great in some cases. If they played poorly against this same competition, then the red flags start coming out. So I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. I am very pleased with the performance of pretty much all the rookies. We'll talk about all of them, I think.
For the most part, I do have some complaints, not really rookie related. But probably the standard complaints that I was expecting to have after the first preseason game. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Look, everything is taken with a grain of salt when you deal with preseason games. There is certainly a level of competition that drops off rather precipitously once you move into the second half of these games. And for this particular game, it may have dropped off very precipitously right from the beginning. I wasn't really paying attention enough to what who the Packers were trotting out there initially. So I remain skeptical, but pleased. How about that?
That's fair enough. So do we just start with Drew Allar coming in, or let's start with Mason? Sure. Actually, let me go with Mason. He started the game. I might as well. I've been a Mason stan for too long. He didn't do anything that looked like he would lose a job. We know it's a hot competition. We know there's only so many spots. We don't need to get into all those debates. What's going to happen is going to happen. It may already be predetermined. I don't know. Of all the people, but I wouldn't be surprised if this happens. There's one thing that may happen here. You cannot just cut Will Howard or Drew Allar and be like, you just can't put them on the practice squad. You have to release them, and since they're not tenured veterans, they have to go through the whole waiver system. Now, where they changed this like a year or two back is now that you can put somebody maybe directly on injured reserve. But if there's anybody that gets cut, I don't want people doing the Simpsons Nelson, like, if Mason gets cut, because Mason's the guy that they could safely cut, would be a free agent and can then be re-signed to the team if they have to make any kind of other goofy transaction, or even just stuff him on the practice squad and make him like an emergency quarterback or whatever. Those things that can be done. So this will be interesting to see. But Mason, of course, the pressure off the right side of the line, the line in general. Let's talk about that.
There you go. You want to talk about the thing I was going to complain about?
Yeah.
Troy offensive line. Yeah, Troy Fautanu. Look, I'll say this: it's nice that Broderick Jones got out there. Right, he was out there. He was competing. I don't know that he played tremendously well. I don't know that anybody on that line played tremendously well. My concern for the offensive line play remains what it was prior to this. They didn't move the line heavily on the run game. They did a little later in the game when obviously you got a lower level of folks out there on the defensive side. They moved it a little bit then, but to start this game, there just wasn't much there. And the guy that they had in, who was I can't remember his name, third string, fourth string running back guy who got invited to camp. Who was that guy?
Nichols.
Nichols.
Yeah.
He did his best. I mean, he tried hard. I'll give him an A for effort. He didn't have a lot to work with, though.
No, and man, I don't really want to jump around too much. Let's go back to the running backs in a moment, because Nichols is definitely a notable name to bring up, and it doesn't bode well for Caleb Johnson's outlook on this team at all.
No, he's in deep trouble.
But there was a mix of, there's definitely guys that they wanted to see more from, or get tape on, or put in a certain environment. I think that was part of the offensive line. Spencer Anderson, Dylan Cook on the right side of the line, moving Fautanu over to the left tackle. I thought McCormick was all right. I thought Frazier was good. There was definitely a few runs that were ripped off there. But Mason gets sacked almost immediately, both times, I think, off of pressure, off of Cook's side. So he's either Cook or Anderson missing assignments. I didn't film study or anything like that close enough. And when we're talking, it's supposed to be vanilla defenses. I mean, they sent some pressures here or there, but goodness, and then everybody's like, oh, stink a whiff, like, oh my goodness, like, Mason, get him out of there. And then as soon as you do something like that, he goes and rips off something like, I think he had a pass. I actually have it in my write-up. I'm trying to find it real quick. 13 yards. I had the order of it, but it was like 13, 19, and 25 yards, if I could actually find it somewhere within this. 3 passes in a row, and he didn't have an incompletion until Bernard didn't get the back of his second foot down in the end zone. It would have been a touchdown. If he would have been perfect on the day. The extra pass, it would have been 10 for 10 with the touchdown and however many yards here. He was still, all of them were over 100 quarterback rating. 101.9 for Mason, 10 of 11 for 93 yards. Freiermuth was 1 yard short of the goal line on that fourth down try, which I didn't mind them trying. It's like, this is preseason. Who cares about the backup kicker? Like, that's,
who cares about any of it, really? I mean, other than just seeing the scores don't matter. I said My daughter was very into this yesterday, and she's like, "We got to get home in time to watch the game. We got to get home in time to watch the game." Now that being said, she didn't really watch the game, but but she would report to me every score. She's like, "The Steelers are losing. It's 3-0, or they're driving now. Oh, they didn't score." And I'm like, "Look, preseason is like, whose line is it anyway? The points, the score's made up, and the points don't matter. Nothing really matters in the preseason as far as what the score is. So, whatever."
Yeah. Oh man, like where else? 13, 19, and 25 yards were the next three passes. Jeremy Bernard being the recipient of some of those. We'll talk about the rookies here in a moment. But Mason leads a drive. It doesn't end up in a score, turnover on downs, but 16 plays, 99 yards in total. They did have a penalty, one of many penalties. That's what made the game so difficult to watch.
Yeah.
And both sides just sloppy. Then you give way to Will Howard and, kind of like a short drive, 5 plays, 9 yards, and then 8 plays, 80 yards, a touchdown, a good, nice looking evening for him. I mean, only 9 attempts, 7 of 9, 86 yards. He did get sacked once as well. 106.5 for his rating. Was Nichols the one who ran it in off of that one? Yes, it was. Yeah. So Nichols was denied at one other point and then ended up getting it in also. So, and that was the penalty on the Rudolph drive, I believe. He was going to skip.
Fautanu got called for something, and it would have been a touchdown if
bounced out instead of in. Yeah, bounced out instead of in, and I'm going to give him some of the preseason jitters. That's something that's going to happen, and he's also playing on the other side, so his inside and out has been turned inside out from the previous season. So I'm good with it. I think he'll be a punching bag for some jokes here until they play again, and then I expect him to clean it up, hopefully. So we'll see. Then Drew Allar comes in, sticking with the quarterbacks. 10 of 13. Again, over 70 some percent completions. This isn't the dink and dunk crap that we've been seeing with the last few coordinators, going all the way back to Fichtner even, you know what I mean? And it wasn't just all to like running backs, although Robert Tonyan, safety blanket for a lot of guys. Very nice game for Tonyan. Yep. Tonyan, 4 catches, 61 yards. Jeremy Bernard plays a decent chunk of this game and gets, to play with all of the quarterbacks, and he very much passes the eye test. I like what I'm seeing there also. Allar, I got to say, I know it's a preseason game. I'm going to try and temper my expectations. He didn't look like a deer in headlights, and he moved around very well. I'm going to say Howard did as well, but I mean, Allar really surprised me quite a bit. Both of these guys hadn't really played football in hundreds of days. They were both, Howard was injured last year and didn't play in the preseason in the NFL, and Allar got hurt in the college season. So to come out there and play as well as they did, and Mason do as well as he did. Everyone talking about the 2 young guys, but I'm going to say Mike McCarthy, there's something there. He's got his Waffle House menus. He's got them stacked with the ring binders and everything. And it seemed like they were prepared. We'll see if it continues that way.
I'm going to give a lot of credit also to the guy who didn't play. And you know how much I love to give Aaron Rodgers credit for anything. But look, despite everything we heard prior to him signing the previous season, since he's been here, I think he has done exactly what you want from a veteran quarterback with these younger guys, and including along with Mason. He has been essentially the wise elder. He's been the Obi-Wan to all of their Luke Skywalkers, and essentially providing mentorship. And I do think it's paying off. I think you see a lot of that as well in this, along with what Mike is probably bringing as the quarterback guru in quotes. So I'm pretty happy with what we saw. I do agree. I'm tempering my enthusiasm because it just, you have to. They are playing at a JV level against JV guys. They better dominate them. If they're having problems at that level, well, then it's not looking good. But they did. So that's the positive. They did. They looked good. All 3 of them looked good.
Yeah. It just, maybe the offense is just It's the teacher and the way that it's executed. And I could even see it with the way Rudolph was playing. It looked like he was doing some stuff that just maybe they just all looked much more comfortable, with the exception of the pressure at the very beginning. I know Rudolph had a look at somebody, and you could tell there was a hesitation because it was that NFL Open, and that was an experienced player because he didn't throw a pick. Like, we saw Anthony Richardson, although it wasn't his fault, in the Colts game, first pass and right through the dude's arms and, interception. So, but all of the quarterbacks over 100 rating, they combined, Brian, 27 of 33 for 332 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Allar also ran one in, just the 2 yards, 3 yards. Maybe it was a 3-yard score from Allar on the RPO, which was a nice little call. There was a lot of decent creativity even for a preseason game. I was very pleased with the variety of the play calling. It wasn't very vanilla. We saw some slants. We also saw like a little bootleg and just a short yardage situation where they've been struggling. A little bootleg and just pitch, and that might have been the Tunyon. I can't remember if it was or not. Ben Skoranek gets involved in this game somehow. Two for 36.
On that 4th and 1, right? 4th and 1, Will Howard rolls out, hits Skoranek.
Yeah. It was a sight to be seen. So, it was compared to what we've been seeing, right? I'm trying to look through here. I know I've got him. I want to give him some props before I start talking about him a little bit more, and that's Lou Nichols. Here he is. 10 carries, 36 yards. Okay, it's not a 4.0 average. It's a 3.6. He had an 11-yard long, but the fact that Nichols played as much as he did, the guy's going to end up stealing a roster spot, perhaps a practice squad spot if he keeps this up for sure. He's going to be somewhere playing football, or at least trying to stick to a roster somewhere, I believe. He plays 23 of, I'm not sure how many offensive plays that we have here, but it was 23 offensive plays. That was about a third of the game. They had 60 something in total here, but nobody played that much. Actually, surprisingly, the guy who played the most was Broderick Jones. He had 49 snaps in this game. That was 72%.
That doesn't surprise me. They need to see what he looks like after the injury.
Yeah, he needs to get his sea legs, and there's always the rumblings that he's going to get traded too. So that's also a part of it. Team wise, just so I have it here. Offensive plays. I got first down. Steelers 25 first downs, 3 by rushing, 17 by passing, 5 by penalty. Packers had 4 by penalty, 9 penalties for first downs. 385 total net yards on 64 offensive plays, an average gain of 6 per play, whereas the Packers 59 plays with an average gain of 2.7. So we'll be talking about this when we get to the defense, but I still want to give some other players maybe some of their flowers. We got to see Eli Heidenreich. We didn't see a lot from him. 9 carries, 21 yards, a 2.3 average. Travis Homer, 4 for 8. He's also in that mix as a special teams veteran. None of that was very clean when we're talking about him. Caleb Johnson, 2 carries, 3 yards. Not good.
Not good. Did not look good the couple times he had it. Again, same limitations that everybody else had, which is I didn't see the offensive line really moving people that much, but everybody else was able to at least make something out of nothing, and he basically made nothing out of nothing.
Yeah, we've got the starters. I'm showing them there, but by the time Will Howard had entered the game, you already had Ryan McCollum in there, and then Crippen comes in later as the reserve center. So you have a very much a mixed bag in there. Doug Nestor ends up playing 44 snaps. Jack Driscoll 36. Then Max Hurlman as wide receiver plays 32 along with Dylan Cook. Jennings Dunker had 30, and then Drew Allar had 30 snaps. Jeremy Bernard 28 snaps, Roman Wilson 27, and then Eli Heidenreich ends up with 25. So does Greg Crippen. Spencer Anderson with 24, McCollum with 24, Lou Nichols with 23, Levi Wentz with 22. You can really tell this is the focus of the guys that need to do something. For the most part, their spots aren't all safe. There's conjecture, there's conversation about who do you keep, who do you let go of. I was going to say I was looking for one other on this list, and now escaped me, but we'll come back to it with the snap counts. Who do we have else on the running backs? Just the quarterbacks running the ball. So that was about it for the evening. Of course, no Jalen Warren. Of course, no Rico Dowdle. Of course, no Aaron Rodgers. We did see Pat Freiermuth some. We saw Darnell Washington out there, I think, a little bit.
Yep.
He had the
no
one.
Pittman, no DK.
No Pittman's hurt. DK out. So Kaden Wetjen, biggest play of the night. What fireworks does that end up being? 74 yards from Drew Allar. I wish he would have scored, is the only thing. Him and Tunyon both. And
let me
Bernard,
just
for
tell
that
you,
matter.
Here's what's funny about that play to me. That guy, in the way, I don't even know how to describe it. I just kept looking at the way he was running, going, oh my God, this, it didn't look right. It didn't look right. Like, his running style did not look smooth. He didn't look like it looked like frantic and panicked. And like, look, give the kid credit. He's got some speed. He was moving. Yes, he got tracked down, so clearly he's not that fast. But yeah, it was funny. I enjoyed it tremendously, but it made me laugh. It didn't look right to me.
That's funny. I actually feel like he tried to put on the Jets. I feel like he didn't get a head start in that foot race, and he was just like, he was looking over his shoulder on, like, are these guys still chasing me? Are these guys still chasing me? Can I make it? Can I make it? Can I make it? And it's like, no, just short. So
I do want to talk about him a little more, because while that was a great play from the receiver side, I was not look, special teams overall just wasn't good, period. It was very concerning the way special teams played, I thought. But I wasn't as impressed as I was hoping I would be with him as a returner. I don't want to say I got Switzer vibes, because I didn't, but I was not overwhelmingly thrilled either.
Which, that's okay, but no, you didn't get the Gunnar Olszewski vibes. This guy at least got out of the landing zone, got out to about the 25. Let me see, where were their starting possessions at for off of punts? Let's see, they had 18, 15, 20, 20, 13, 20, 11, 40, and then I believe that was via penalty, was included with that one maybe toward the end, and then of course the very last kneel down from the 14. So yeah, to be determined, right? And there's a lot of guys that were sitting out, or there were guys that were playing that are normally special teamers that might not be starters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frontline contributors that then aren't playing special teams, so then you have their backups in that case too. So I take it with a grain of salt, but man, yeah, I was happy with what I saw, and it showed that he can be a wide receiver as well, which was nice. What did he end up with? I said again, it was more than just 2 catches, 79 yards. So he did have another catch. Everyone seemed to have some soft hands. Bernard only had the one where he stepped out. Harlman even caught 3 for 46. Brandon Smith 2 for 13. He's going to be making a case. Roman Wilson had the nice one he came back for from Mason Rudolph. Scrambling 1 for 7. It moves the chains. And so there were lots and lots of positive things from the offensive side of the ball. And Brian, I was already talking. I was like, we need to at least hop on the rookies. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about. We can talk about defense too, but that was kind of mixed, and they did their job. There wasn't anything. There were some performances that stood out.
It's so hard to judge. I thought Asante Samuel was good. I thought Asante Samuel played very well. I think it's hard to judge the defense at this point. There's so many pieces that weren't there that I don't know how you really criticize. Look, there's times where you're watching Jack Sawyer try to run down McCord, and he just he's doing his job, but he's not. You're just not going, wow, that's. The pressure wasn't consistently there good. I mean, they had to do some kind of creative things to get to guys as the game wore on. But, it's vanilla. It's preseason, and you're dealing with the second level of guys almost from the get-go for the most part. So I don't want to judge the defense. Hey, they kept him to 9 points? So
Yeah,
I'll take that every week.
They almost blew it. They almost blew that in a way. Like I don't want to say blow it, but that dude made like a 58-yard field goal. That's just like
crazy.
What's with these?
That guy was kicking 1,000,000 yards.
And then
crazy.
Talking about the edge pressure, we did have a good game from Jamin Davis, who they're trying to kind of convert over to be an edge rusher now. And I'm like, man, he's in such a stacked position group with the Steelers. You got TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith played, Herbig played at the very beginning, and then Jack Sawyer's there too. There's 4 guys already, and we don't know how many linebackers they're going to end up keeping. They brought Landon Roberts back now too, so the inside linebackers are all that room's crowded. You've got Queen, you've got Wilson, you got Holcomb, who I thought had a good game, and then he got tagged with that roughing the passer type deal, like the guy was running. It's a
legit call, but I get it. It's one of those hard, like it's hard. He's going to get called for it, but it's a hard, it's hard to stop.
I should say unnecessary roughness call, but there were 6 of them in this game, so that's where it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I who else I thought had a bad game? Replay.
Oh, so bad, dude.
It's awful. Anyway. I wanted to look, the linebacker room. You're talking about edge rushers. It'll be interesting because if I just don't know whether the 4 guys that we expect to be there are all going to be there when the season rolls around. I just feel like there's going to be some movement, and the movement that I would expect to see is Mr. Highsmith. But I don't know. I mean, I'd rather keep them all. Don't get me wrong. But when you got guys trying to battle to make that spot, there's no place to go. There isn't any room. You're not going to keep more than 4 edge rushers, I don't think.
Well, that's what I was doing.
Too many other spots.
I was doing the math because I named 3 of the inside linebackers, and you've got Landon Roberts, who's just been re-added to the team. You've got Malik Harris, and as I was saying, being on a honeymoon and everything, I was trying to make sure that I have all of the information, right? Because it was just, I was like, did somebody get moved? And he's wearing like 39, and I'm just like, I totally forgot about that.
That's not a good number for your future.
No, not as a linebacker, at all. That's not a good number. So, and then there's still Carson Bruder too. So there's 6 guys right there. And if you have 6 inside linebackers and the other 4, that's 10 linebackers already. And there's still other guys vying for a spot that we haven't even named. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. The defensive line, I was surprised by some of the play, particularly Gabe Rubio. I've been all over his case, saying everybody's like, why did they take this guy? And he seems to be a pretty decent fit. So I was pretty happy with what I saw of him. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Logan Lee just went on IR, right?
Yeah.
So you got one less guy in the mix.
Yeah, that's also true. I mean, of course, going from the top of the rookies in this class, Maxiana Chora did not play, unspecified, injury and timeline to return. I guess he had been really standing out, balling out in camp. So I was excited. I wanted to see him. Didn't get to. Jeremy Bernard, as advertised. Drew Allar, probably better than advertised. Didn't really get to call Dalen Everett's name much in this game. So it's not that he didn't play or anything.
He had a couple nice plays. I think he had a tackle for loss, didn't he?
That's going to end up coming down. Maybe. I think it's going to end up coming back around when I look. Let's see. I'm not even seeing. Where is Everett? Maybe Everett. He was a substitute. Let me see how many snaps he played. 60% of the game. So, but the other guy that played just as much next to him, another fellow defensive back out of this class that stood out more to me was Robert Spears Jennings. And I mean, I was really, really surprised by that. And he was playing right away, which 7th round picks. This isn't Mike Tomlin's rodeo anymore. This is a whole new rodeo. This is my first rodeo with Mike McCarthy, and he's definitely handling things a little bit differently with how he plays some of the rookies. So Everett played, I didn't have much feedback. He did have a couple, let's see, 4 combined tackles, 3 assisted, nothing for loss. There was 1 on special teams as well. Spears Jennings did have a tackle for loss, and then Slaughter was in that mix too. You're probably thinking of with a pass defense. He's wearing 19, but also got tagged with the penalty also. So can't be doing that. Can't be doing that when you're, trying to fight for maybe a spot somewhere on the field. Who else am I trying to look at here? I was jumping around. Jennings Dunker, he played quite a bit. Wetjen obviously made some impact. Nowakowski ends up scoring. They end up getting him involved in that. That was a nice play, a nice throw, nice tight window to where he could only get it sure-handed. Bob Pompiani and Charlie Batch, is kind of funny. Like, they're trying to name some players, and they're doing the same thing we do sometimes, where you just see the back of their jersey and it's like, oh yeah, that guy, Smith or Johnson or something. But Batch had made some comment, I think, about Nowakowski and being sure-handed, or maybe Pomp did, and there it is. It was produced right there for our eyes to see. Rubio, we mentioned, Spears Jennings, and then Eli Heidenreich. I think they all got a very solid amount of time to prove their value to this team, and nobody really let me down out of all of those names that were mentioned. So so far, 1 preseason game, I'm pleased with how it turned out.
Well, I can't complain other than the offensive line. That's my biggest concern coming out of the game. Overall, yeah, I think you can tell it's a different vibe. Let's put it that way. And, that may be a good thing. We'll see. Yep.
Oh, next up, we'll see if we're going to do a pregame. I don't know. We've got Friday, another home game. The attendance didn't seem too hot. Obviously, I wasn't there yesterday. Usually, I'll try and go to like a preseason game and get a little hyped up. I try and go. I visit family and friends.
When's the next one?
Friday. It's a Friday.
Friday next week, right? It's the second home game?
Yes, sir.
All right. I usually lay this out every year, so here you go. You want to go to the game? Just DM me, ping me, whatever. Connect with me, comment in here, whatever. The tickets are free. You want them, you can have them, because I'm not going.
We'll see. I think my daughter wants to go, and it's like a low impact thing where it's like, then she gets bored, and God forbid, like, we got to get up, get some snacks or whatever. It's there's worse situations. I'm not going to do that when you're paying the amount of money you pay for a regular season NFL game, of course. So try not to do that. But they got
you got to pay the same amount for the preseason tickets as you do for the regular season.
Well, if you're a season ticket holder, you do. Yeah. They do all that dynamic pricing now. They shave they shave that $30 off, and they try and or whatever, $35, and it's like, oh look, the preseason's cheaper. Then they just tuck it away like on the Ravens game later in the season, and it becomes like the gold tier or whatever, platinum game, whatever the hell they're using for the terminology. And
I don't even know if we have a gold tier game on the schedule this year.
There's a Black Friday game, maybe. That might be about it, right? There's not like any other actual real, that's a special game. But all the other ones are away, with the exception of the Houston Texans. Is that a Monday night, I think? So Sunday night or a Monday night, off the top of my head, I don't know. I just know that this Friday, the 21st, 7 o'clock kickoff, New York Jets. Maybe we'll pop in with a real quick episode, maybe, and just be like, hey, it depends on what happens with training camp and who there is to see. But to be honest, it's like we said, these games are unpredictable. Trying to predict what's going to happen. Will Aaron Rodgers play? Who knows? Who cares? Like, for the most part, like, we don't need to see him. I don't mean to be so blunt and be like, wow, who cares? But that's kind of the way it is with these preseason games. You're not getting the full experience. You're never going to get the full experience. The closest you get to that was, I think, several years ago, the Steelers played down in New Orleans, and Ben came out with the full complement of the offense. They went down and scored very quickly, and then they packed it in and called it a night. And that
was it.
Yeah. That was like, what was that? Like maybe 2017, 2018, something like that. And that's about it. So we'll see.
You said something. Yeah. You said something earlier that I think is, if people want to take a grain of advice about the preseason games, all you really are looking for is, do these guys pass the eye test, right? Do they look like they could play in the NFL, or do they look like they're completely out of their depth? That's really, I mean, the coaches are going to look much deeper than that. But from a fan standpoint, your concern is, does this person look like they don't know what they're doing, or does it look viable? And please, temper your expectations by understanding that many of the people who are playing in the third and fourth quarters will be bagging groceries at the end of training camp.
I hate saying that, man, but it's truth. So, well, your ticket giveaway, we could say, is probably coordinates with being sponsored by Deep Grooves, such as the spin of the day, as Brian roots around down there and looks for
I rooted around.
A spin of the day. He's rooting around. I see your camera bouncing. I'm leaving the Deep Groove sponsorship up for a second. Okay, he's balancing out here.
Yes, leave it up. Okay, there we go.
All right, and here it is. Spin of the day,
Here
Brian.
it is. Spin of the day. Okay, this is a female artist. Not many people are probably going to know, but she is. She's collaborated with Joe Bonamassa, who's a blues artist. She's got a hell of a voice. This was, I believe, her premiere album. What do you call it? Debut. It's Beth Hart. It's called "Singing for My Supper." There are some songs on here that are just absolutely fantastic. Well worth hearing. I can't tell you the title of one of them. Because there's a bad word in it.
Yeah, I'm not going to bleep it, but you could always you could kind of hint.
I could. I can't remember it all the way off my top of my head either. Something about you got your shit together. That's really what it is. And I listen to this at least once a month. It's that good. So really good album. Well worth the spin of the day. And there you go. I realized I was gonna pick Joe Bonamassa. I was gonna pick a Joe Bonamassa album, and I think I already did. So I put it back.
You know what helps you keep track of that in your record collection, Brian, is Deep Grooves. So there's the spin of the day. The Deep Grooves app, record collection management for vinyl collectors. I have about 40 to 50 of them, but still helpful because sometimes I go to a store and I say, oh, look at this Journey record. I'm like, what a great price on this. It's like, I've already got that one. I don't need like 3 of them. You can only play one at a time. I can only play one at a time. I only have one record player, so I'm not sitting here, doing any mixtapes or anything like that. So anyways, I think that'll do it for us today, my friend. Thanks for joining me once again. Thank all of yins for joining us as well, and we'll be back next week. Maybe a preview, maybe a post game. It's weird, it's a Friday game, so I don't know when we're gonna be back on the horn. I love to promise more episodes and stuff like that, but we're not gonna force it. We're not gonna force you to listen to some just straight up, this is to 2%ers listening now, bullshit like some of the other people are gonna come around and start talking about. My goodness, there was an Aaron Rodgers trade rumor. You want about terrible take? We need sponsored by Deep Grooves also.
Oh my God.
Would they think about trading? The only reason he came back was because of McCarthy and because he just played for the Steelers and thought, I'll give it one more go. You talk about just fabricating things out of thin air for the sake of
they go into Aaron Rodgers' training camp room and go, hey Aaron, we're gonna trade you to X team. He's gonna give them the double bird salute and be like, yeah, no you're not.
Man, I mean
that's the most absurd thing. We call draft season the season of lies. This is just the season of stupidity sometimes. The takes that people have to pull up to try and get clicks, just ridiculous.
I really try not to do that. I mean, I sent a tweet yesterday. I saw Wetjen on that one, and you said he was running weird or whatever, but on a couple of them, I was like, this guy's got some... Remember Antonio Brown breaking into the league and as a kick returner, right? And I said, man, I could see some tendencies there and kind of an under the radar kind of receiver type or whatever. I'm not saying that he will be. I'm not saying he has the same hands. It's just a preseason game. But I remember seeing Brown in preseason games and going, whoa, I think this guy might have something a little extra. So if I see just a little bit more, even back then, before I was doing all of this, back in 2010, I'm like, let me see a little bit more. Let me see a little more. And then that ended up blossoming into the career that he had. And, we won't talk anything else about Antonio Brown, not to disparage the name of Antonio Brown. He's done enough of that himself. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
But folks, that'll do it for us. My name's Joe, and this is Brian. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a rating and review wherever you are. Please share the show, no matter where you're listening or watching from. We appreciate all of yous. Till next time, as always, we'll be back next week. We encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we will catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.